were to use the period excuse, would you let her off the hook? Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Julie. I have my husband here, Bailey.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
If you don't know him, he's a police officer. He's been a police officer for the last 4 years, right? 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years is right.
And then today I'm going to be asking him a couple of questions relating to police and just kind of, I guess the word is debunking all the police myths that they have out there. He doesn't know any questions I'm about to ask him. He's all blind to it. Everybody always says he's a great public speaker, so I definitely am so excited to put him on the spot and see how well he does with these questions.
Now, guys, before we get started, I just want to say I definitely don't know what questions are about to be asked of me. I can say that I'm going to try and answer all of them to the best of my knowledge and ability, but a little indicator here, if my voice starts sounding a little nasally, it's because I'm getting over a little cold, so I want to apologize on that front. But hopefully you guys can understand me and we can jump right into the questions.
Yes, and before I get started, one last thing, please subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, go ahead and give that a thumbs up, and we will get started.
Before we get started, a little bit about myself. Like she said, I've been a police officer for the last 4 years. In my state, Michigan, is where I'm at. I had to go through a very strenuous training academy and then into the field training officer program, which takes about a year long, just from the academy to get off into the FTO program onto your own, and then into the probationary period for that whole year mark. Since I've joined my department, I've been assigned to multiple different specialized units, such as like our dive team. I'm now a field training officer myself, where I take new recruits and I show them the ropes and I grade them and evaluate them on their everyday performance. I've also partaken in our community service unit, where I'm assigned to a smaller section within my city that requires a little bit more attention than maybe some of the other areas. So the whole focus there is to build community relations, get to know your neighborhood watch, your city council members, your community centers, build those relationships, your apartments, maybe identify some of the problems in the area and address them. Kind of being like the point of contact for getting your friendly face out there and showing people how it's done. But I feel like we're probably going to touch a bunch of these topics, so I guess I'm going to stop talking and let you ask the first question.
Okay. There's absolutely no order to these questions. What would you tell someone who just graduated high school that said they wanted to be a police officer?
Well, I think it's awesome that anyone these days really wants to verbalize that and make that commitment. What I would have to say is at such a young age, saying something like, I want to be a police officer, that's a fully packed statement. I don't think people really realize the commitment it takes, the training, the education, the discipline, the mental toughness, the traumas that you'll first see later on. I'd say to that young individual is really go out and get some life experience first, determine if this is something that you absolutely want to do, and if it is, I will welcome you with open arms. But really, I think oftentimes when we get a young officer, they don't have that life experience yet, and when you're going out and you're maybe affecting an arrest or just talking to someone and trying to level with them on their worst day of their life, and they see some 21, 22-year-old cop that clearly knows really nothing about life yet, telling a 56-year-old with tons of more life experience, it can get a little awkward in a sense. And so really kind of having that life experience is what you're going to want. So maybe waiting a minute until you're 25. I mean, we always talk about 25 years of service and then you can retire. So for my department specifically, to get your 25 years, get out, retire, and collect your pension, you also have to be the age of 50. So starting before you're 25 may not always be a huge benefit when it comes to certain departments. So do your research on that. But really just go ahead, get your education. Maybe join the military. Do something that's going to get yourself some life experience so that you're better off when you come out here into the field and you interact with people.
Okay. My second question is, when you started to become a police officer, did you think you would have one of the most hated careers out there?
You know, it's funny that you asked that, because people ask me what is like the whole reason why I wanted to get into law enforcement. And, you know, I didn't really have a huge answer at first. Like, I remember being in high school saying, hey, it'd be kind of cool to be a police officer. You know, all kids, especially when you're really younger, are like, yeah, I'm going to be a cop when I'm older. When it was finally my time to graduate high school and my parents looked at me and said, okay, what's next? I kind of just went with, yeah, I guess I'm going to be a cop. And as time went on and I got my bachelor's degree, I really kind of learned just how much hatred there was for the job, yet on the flip side of that, there's so much pride and people really appreciate what you do. But to kind of focus more on that negative aspect of it, I was more so just tired of people complaining to me about the police, especially in these like college debates in the classroom. And I wanted to participate and act like I had a foot in the game. However, to say I understand what it would be like to be in an impoverished community and have a huge focus with police interactions all the time, I was tired of people bitching, really. So I don't know if I can swear or not, but either way, I felt like people were complaining all the time, and I couldn't complain unless I really understood it. And for me to really understand it, or at least try to attempt to understand it, was to be a police officer, put myself out there, and really understand the rules and how we operate as police. And what I can say is there's a lot of misinformation out there, and when you actually understand it and you go through it, it makes a lot more sense. And people are always going to people are always going to have their hate speech and not like what you do.
Agreed. Because I will say, before I was married to him, I kind of low-key hated the police too. And then, well, just because you like have horrible encounters with them all the time. Like, they're either like giving you a ticket for speeding, or like just little things like that. You just have bad encounters with them, and you don't have very many good encounters with them. And I feel like that's like one issue. And then, where was I going with this?
Well, I feel like you could also kind of hit on the media on that. Maybe it's not just you experiencing that speeding ticket and you kind of feel that harassment, but I feel like the narrative from the media is only showing these minor things that these 2-second clips that make people, like the public, want to hate the police. And so I don't know like how true your statement was before that you hated the police. I think your perception of the police was negative from your upbringing, your interactions, and the social media aspect of it all.
Right, like you can't still trust the media. The media puts out what they want you to know and what they want you to think. They never put out the full story. But if you go back and look at these old interactions with police officers and like citizens, and you like really dig deep, most of the time like the cop isn't in the wrong in a lot of the situations the media puts out there. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and you know, it obviously is going to be based off each situation and the totality of the circumstances, but yeah, I'd say more often than not, the police are pretty much following their department policies. I mean, it's unfortunate that certain situations happen, and there's no doubt that there needs to be some sort of police reform. I would 1,000% agree with that. But I would say that this reputation that we don't know what we're doing. I mean, we are professionals. We understand our laws, our department policies, our procedures, and we do a damn good job day in and day out responding to countless calls for service where they don't escalate, and we de-escalate and come to a common goal that's better for society.
I would agree.
So next question.
Next question is, actually I already know this. How do you handle the haters? Because I feel like you handle the haters better than I handle the haters.
Cue our kids crying. How do I deal with like the stress of the haters? Is that more so like
yes,
on topic?
Yeah.
I think it all just comes down to like, I don't know. I didn't really let things get to me growing up. Like I'm one of 5 kids. I had older siblings, younger siblings. People try and pick on you all the time growing up, and I think your response and how you handle that says a lot about your character. They'd be like, "Bailey, you're fat." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Look at my jelly rolls, right?" So it's kind of the same thing. Like one of the funniest things I think one of these juveniles said to me out on a call. Well, they called me Josh from Drake and Josh, and I was like, that's really funny. like yeah, no doubt, I'm Josh. I am not Drake. Or I remember this young 7-year-old just the other day. I'm a training officer now, and he goes, "Why does your partner look like the Keebler elf?" And I started looking at him, and no, I'm sorry. He said, "Why does your partner look like he belongs on a Lucky Charm box?" And
oh my gosh,
yeah, it's funny because he looks like a little Keebler elf, and we both were laughing. What do you say to that? You just laugh. So dealing with it, I think you really just have to have positive mindset and really just realize these people are going to hate you no matter what. It's about the badge, not about you as a person. And honestly, some of the stuff people say is pretty funny. So I just deal with it through humor. I also have different coping mechanisms with the job, right? So trying to do eat a lot of your healthy food you cook. Yeah, guys, honestly, she takes care of me. But working out and playing games, just kind of doing whatever it is that makes you wind down after a shift. That's really how I handle it.
It's actually really funny because I feel like every time I talk is when he starts crying.
Yeah. He just needs more food.
I know.
All right, so we were talking about haters. You got your refill.
Okay, so it's actually really funny because there was a situation here in the city we live in, or like the city right next to where we live, where after a Detroit police officer died, one of the vendors at the farmer's market I go to made a comment or a post on something and was like, "I love when I see police die," or something along the lines of that. Like, she's happy about this Detroit police officer's death. And that, like, hit me hard. That, like, it hit me different than him. Like, I ended up reaching out to the farmer's market. They never replied to me. But it just really hit me differently. And he was handling it so much better than I was. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't understand how you're doing this, because I would go off if I were you.
Yeah, it's messed up. We all can agree that anyone that wants to see anyone die is messed up. But I guess you're right, it does hit a little different when we're talking about the badge itself, and and specific to this officer's death. He was ambushed and shot and killed in the line of duty, leaving behind a family. And so when you hear like that hate, it hurts. But that's where that mental toughness has to come in. And this person knows nothing about what we do. They have no effect on our life. There's no point to give them the time of day or attention. It's sometimes just better off leave it alone and move on, because it's really all you can do is just move forward.
Yeah. I mean, people also don't remember that a police officer isn't just a police officer. Like, they go home to a wife and kids, and they have like an actual life outside of being a police officer, and people don't realize that most of the time. Okay. Do police officers have quotas?
Absolutely not. That is completely false. I do not have any traffic stop quotas. I do not have to make a certain amount of traffic stops. I do not have to write a certain amount of citations. It all is officer discretion. That would be a violation of state law, at least in my state, to have quotas. I can tell you, I'm not the speeding ticket kind of guy. I don't personally issue speeding tickets. It's just not what I do. I think there's a lot of other things that I could handle with my time at work, and speeding tickets aren't always necessary in my point of view. So, kind of debunk that myth right there. That's a huge no, and I can say a lot of my coworkers have the same viewpoint.
What advice would you give to someone wanting to get out of a speeding ticket?
Yeah, I'd show up for court. Maybe it's not getting out of the speeding ticket, but maybe it's reducing the penalty. I mean, at minimum, you could get a cheaper bill. You might be able to get an officer to agree to dismiss the ticket. Maybe they don't show up for court. Who knows? I don't really know. I'd say you always have your day in court, so why not use that right and show up, have your day in court, explain it. Worst case worst, you're still stuck with the ticket.
Okay, something you told me when we first started dating was if I get pulled over for speeding, I need to deny that I'm speeding. So when they get it on body cam and they show it, if they show it, to just kind of like cancel that out, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, when you get pulled over and they ask you how fast were you going, there's no legal aspect where you have to say, yeah, I was going 10 over. What I would say is, maybe say, no, sir, I don't know why I got pulled over. And I think my department in specific, we do a really good job with handling this kind of situation, because my department's very clear on transparency. So it's in our policies that when I conduct a traffic stop, I'll say, hi, I'm Officer so-and-so. The reason why I'm with Department so-and-so, the reason why I pulled you over is for whatever violation is. Can you give me your license, registration, and insurance? So if I were to come up to you and, I would say, hi, I'm Officer blah, blah, blah from Department blah, blah, blah. I pulled you over for speeding. Could you give me your license, registration, and insurance? There's no, how fast were you going? Now, maybe there's follow-up questions, but at the end of the day, you just don't be like, yeah, sorry, I know I was going 50 over. Just be like, play dumb to it, because if they'll hear you say it, they lock you into a statement. But if you show up for court and it's just your word versus their word, and maybe they didn't do a very good job in their report, or can't testify well on the stand of, yeah, I was pacing him for these many blocks going at this speed. I know this to be a frequent speeding zone, yada, yada, yada. Or, I got him on the radar clock. This is the radar I used. It was last calibrated at this date and time. So there's tons of different ways you can get out of a ticket. Just show up for court. I mean, I think that's probably number one.
Okay, I'm going to ask this for my ladies out there, though. I know you personally don't give speeding tickets, but if you were to give speeding tickets, if a woman were to use the period excuse, would you let her off the hook?
What do you mean, a period excuse? Like, I'm speeding because I'm on my period?
Yes.
No, I feel like that would incline me more to give them a ticket, because what does that mean? Like, okay, you're having a bad day? Is that what you mean to say?
What about if they have to use the bathroom?
Where are we in relation to a bathroom? questions I might start asking, like, are you just trying to avoid me? Like, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Like, do I need to look into this more? Or, like, are you just like, yes, sorry, here you go. I'm sorry, I really have to go to the bathroom. Whatever it is, I'm sorry, I did it. Okay, like, sure, maybe there's something not there and you really do just have to go to the bathroom. But I'd be careful with using the I'm on a period excuse.
Can cops give other cops tickets?
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely a time and a place to do it. I'm not going to say that I go out on shift and I search to go find other police officers to issue citations. I mean, that's false. But do we have the legal authority to do it? Yeah, we're not above the law. We absolutely have that power. Ultimately, a lot of the speeding citations, it's officer discretion. But no, I don't go out and look for other officers to ticket.
Okay. Do you think it's true that most cops end up divorced?
I think it really depends on the person, the couple, the marriage. I think there's definitely a high divorce rate. I don't think that it's impossible to go your whole career and not get a divorce. Like, there's definitely people that have 25 years. My dog. There's people that have gone through the whole 25 years and they do not get a divorce. And really, I think it's finding that work-life balance. Making sure you're not throwing your all into your job, and you remember you still need to find time for your family. So it definitely can happen, but it can happen in any profession. It just depends on what healthy habits you have in your marriage.
Why do you think the divorce rate is so high with cops?
And no doubt, I mean, our job is a little different than your ordinary 9-to-5 office job, right? So cops kind of tend to gravitate towards other cops. Maybe it's because of the long hours. Really, to survive off our pay, you need overtime, so you're kind of always at work in a sense, and sometimes it is hard to turn off cop mode when you are off duty. And then it always seems like when you're off duty, you got to go to court, or there's just something that pops up, or you're part of a special team and now you have a call out to go to, and really you're just trying to go to dinner with your family. So there's definitely guys whose devotion to the job makes it difficult for them to remember how to have that balance with their family at home versus their family at work. So to answer your question, it's pretty easy to like throw yourself into it, but there also comes a time and place where you need to recognize what you're doing, and sometimes it's being checked by maybe your coworkers or your family, your spouse, significant other, parents, brothers, sisters, anyone who you have a close relationship with. Have that self-reflection and make sure you're doing what's important for you, because at the end of the day, if you were to leave law enforcement, the city is still going to be the city, but your family is your family, and they're heavily influenced by you.
Oh, you know how there's, like, in a hospital setting, there's Grey's Anatomy. Do you feel like they could make a show similar to Grey's Anatomy, but in the cop world?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's tons of different cop shows out there. I guess it really just depends. I haven't watched tons of Grey's Anatomy, but my understanding of it is basically all these doctors and nurses and stuff just hook up and on their off time and talk about the trauma they went through that day. So if you kind of break it down like that, like, yeah, no doubt, there's shows already like that about police. It 1000% could be we're all kind of in that same realm of first responders and dealing with the general public.
Why are cops obsessed with donuts?
Oh my gosh. Well, wouldn't you be? Like, come on. Donuts are amazing. You know it. I know it. They're awesome. But it's also a stereotype. Like, donuts are great just because I'm fat and I like them. But like, it's not because like I'm a cop. I like them even more.
Dude.
In fact, for a long time I really tried to not eat a donut in uniform, just to kind of beat that stereotype. And then I was like, oh, what? Forget it. I'm just gonna eat that donut, especially at the jail. They always have donuts at the jail. Sometimes I go long hours without eating, and that is literally the only food available. And there's been a time and a place where, yeah, I guess I'll sacrifice my diet for the sweet, delicious donut.
That was my other question. Do they have donuts like on hand for you guys?
Yeah, we get a lot of them donated to our department. So, you know, we love our businesses that appreciate us because we definitely appreciate them. So it's definitely routine for us to have different goodies definitely floating around the department in different areas. If you ask me, I can tell you all the hot spots for food within my department, and if you're lucky enough to have me as a field training officer, you'll learn them quick.
Why are officers considered pigs?
Well, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. It's always been that hate speech. Cops are pigs. We eat garbage. We're dirty like them because, frankly, we have to go into sometimes the scum of society and remove them by either enforcement action through jails or citations. We're kind of going in places that other people don't want to be, so we are what sometimes the street will consider the biggest gang in the United States. So when you have a reputation like that, people are going to hate you and create hate speech, associate different animals to you. I mean, whatever. I'm a pig, I guess.
You need a refill.
Yes, I do, because I'm a pig. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, guys, reminder, if you haven't already, go ahead and give this channel a thumbs up if you like the content. If you want to see more videos like these, let us know in the comments. Subscribe. We're always going to read them. And, you know, if you have any questions, just shoot them down there and we'll address them.
How do you feel about ACAB?
ACAB. So, my understanding of ACAB, for maybe some of you viewers out there that don't know what that means, is all cops are bastards. ACAB. I think that kind of ties in with the previous question with pigs. You know, I really don't care. I think a lot of it comes from misinformation. Maybe not a ton of exposure to law enforcement and our daily operations. So I think it just kind of comes from a place of ignorance rather than anything else. I see it more in the younger generation than I do from the older. So with that in mind, I whatever, I guess you'll grow up one day.
Okay, I think that might have been everything. Those are all my questions.
And that's all the questions
Those
that
were
we
all my
have
questions.
right now. If you guys have any more that you want answered, maybe we'll do this again. Let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in. If you want to hear more, definitely shoot a subscribe, DM. For you men out there, don't get too comfortable DMing my wife. I still track it, and I'm insecure.
Thanks guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye.